Going live. We are going to make a Potaje de Garbanzos. Isn't that Spanish amazing? No, it's not. But I'm going to read you over the ingredients. Gina's going to cook it the traditional way, and I'm going to cook it the hardcore forks over knives that I normally do. I'm not going to use any oil. I'm also not going to use an egg. The traditional recipe calls for an egg. So 4 tablespoons extra virgin olive oil, 1/2 onion, 1/2 green bell pepper, 1/2 red bell pepper, 5 cloves of garlic, 1 tomato, 1 large potato, 20-ounce cooked canned garbanzo beans. You could cook your own. I didn't. I talk about the hierarchy of health. We'll talk about that again. 1 teaspoon sweet smoked Spanish paprika. We just got smoked paprika. 3 cups vegetable broth, 1 bay leaf, 2 slices baguette, 1 cage-free organic egg, sea salt and black pepper, handful freshly chopped parsley. That's Gina. So I've already pre-cut everything. So I've got half of an onion. I'm not using any oil. I've got half of bell pepper. I've got potato.
Eggs.
I've got
It's all right. It's eggs.
minced garlic. I like to rinse my canned stuff. I've got, it's not grated, but I chopped the snot out of a tomato. So, having said that, you cut a large heated stock pot, which I've already got. We're going to put, I'm not putting olive oil. I'm going to pour a little bit of my broth in there, just so that stuff doesn't stick to it. I'm going to add onion, chopped bell pepper, minced garlic, and I'm going to let them saute for about 5 minutes. Then I'm going to put the tomato in there, cook for 1 to 2 minutes. So I'm going to just put a splash of vegetable broth so that it doesn't blacken this too much. I'm going to put the onion. I'm going to put the pepper. And I'm going to put the minced garlic in there.
We're gonna need a.
I'm going to let this saute in there. So I'm going to stir that around a little bit, make sure that it doesn't stick. I've got about 5 minutes of that. What is it?
4. Thank you.
I'm going to just kind of keep that moving around a little bit so that it doesn't stick to the bottom, turn to black, because I'm not using oil. In my opinion, oil a lot of times is used to protect your cookware. And I don't add it to my cooking when I'm cooking on the show. So, do I occasionally eat a little bit of oil? Yes. Do I ascribe that maybe Caldwell Esselstyn knows a lot? And he has a group called Forks Over Knives, and I follow his cooking technique. I don't add any oil to my cooking when I'm cooking on the show. I read you the recipe that I go by. Sometimes I use a recipe just off the internet. Usually I'm trying to find stuff that's kind of vegan, but Gina wanted to cook this dish, and so I said, hey, let's both cook it. You cook it the traditional way. I'm going to cook it the hardcore forks over knives that I traditionally do on this show. And I would love to have other people join us and maybe teach us a dish. And if you would like to come on live, feel free to do that. I like to cook these down to where it's a little bit almost translucent with these vegetables, especially the onions. And then, like I said, I'm going to, the next step after we've done this for about 5 minutes is we're going to add the tomato and cook for 1 to 2 minutes. And then we are going back to the hierarchy of health. What are you doing? Are you trying to disrupt the show? Yes, you are. I like hierarchy of health. If you've got dry beans and cook them yourselves, that is going to be more healthy than what we are doing here today. We are choosing the convenience way. We used canned garbanzo beans. I got the low salt one because I think that traditional American diet, they put too much salt. When you buy stuff at the grocery store, if you don't get the low sodium, you're getting too much salt in your diet. Salt can affect your blood pressure. I think that if you have high blood pressure, if you can change your diet and eliminate a lot of salt out of there, I think that it's only going to be helpful for you. So we got a couple more minutes. We're going to make sure this stuff isn't sticking to the bottom. Oh, yeah. Maybe turn that heat up just a tiny bit more. Put it on a 4. I like gas. I told you why I like gas. To me, it's the fastest way to adjust the heat in your pan. You can also use liquid, water, or broth to slow your cooking down if it's cooking too fast. So that's one of the ways you can affect the cooking times. And we may go a little bit more than 5 minutes because, like I said, I like to get my onions to where they are translucent when I'm making a dish. That's what you're trying to go for with your dish. And once again, I'm not using oil when I cook. Even if the recipe calls for oil, I do it without oil and see what it tastes like, right? So after this has gotten to the place where the onions are translucent or almost see-through, I'm going to add the chopped up, they say grated, I just chopped it as fine as I could with a big fat knife. So mine will have a little bit of more of the peel in it than maybe if you grated it. Also, when I cut up my potato, I left the skin on. I think it's healthy. If you are the kind of person who wants to peel your potato, that's what this recipe originally called for. So, having said that, I think the skin is very healthy for you. I'm going to let this go a few more minutes, then I'm going to add in the tomato. You can probably use a diced tomato if you want to do for this. Once again, like I said, I talk about the hierarchy of health. If it's canned, in the old days, they had a lot of BPA. Probably isn't the best thing for you. So that lining inside of the can has BPA. That lining may not be the best for you. Even the newer ones probably have something in there. Maybe we don't know how healthy it is. Is it healthy for us? If you wanted to be the healthiest, if you wanted to be really healthy, cook your beans yourselves and have them in a little container ready to go for your recipes. I would suggest that. And as I get better at this, maybe I will do that myself. Maybe I will follow my own suggestion and actually do what I think is best, right? So sometimes for convenience sake, I don't follow 100% what I think is optimum. What is optimum? That's optimizing your health, eating the healthiest you can. I like to eat mostly vegan. I think the more plants that you can put into your diet, the healthier you're going to be. And I'm trying to come up with dishes that maybe you will try. They can be a side dish. Maybe you eat them with meat. I think a Mediterranean or an Asian traditional diet is probably the second healthiest. They ate a little bit of fish, not a ton. I think that's
not for the non-vegan that has fried egg,
egg
and baguette that I put
baguette
and minced.
This
garlic,
makes
all
the
mixed up.
stew a little thicker for the traditional recipe. This is where they have an egg and some bread and stuff to thicken up our. I'm going to try to get this in here without making a mess, which I need to get a folding cutting board because that would make life easy as best. She's going to help me by cutting off my finger. On the board, some tomato juice there. All right, we're going to let this cook for a couple of minutes. Perfecto. So just be careful when you out here, because Mark made a big mess with his cutting board. He wants to get a foldable cutting board for his next show because he likes to make a mess. That's why he has lots of cleanup afterward, and he usually doesn't do a great job of that. Anyway, so what we're talking about is cooking, you learning what you like, and also what I'm trying to get you to do is to try some vegetables. I think the more vegetables that you can add into your diet, it is only healthy for you. I'm going to suggest that a lot of pharmaceuticals originally started out as a plant. They found specific chemicals in those plants that sometimes work better in synergy in that vegetable, in that plant, whatever it is. And so I think that the more plants that you can add to your diet, the healthier you will be. Also, a little bit of movement is good for you. But this is just to show that it's doing the cooking part of what I'm talking about. So we're going to let that cook down for a couple minutes. Then we're going to start adding some of the other stuff in there. Once again, sometimes cooking, you get good at cooking because you know what stuff is supposed to look like as it cooks, right? So sometimes it's a little tough to say, hey, put it over medium heat. Well, what does that mean, right? So eventually we're going to get this going with a boil. So after this cooks down for a couple minutes, we're going to add the potatoes, the chickpeas, some paprika, pepper, and we're going to combine it really well. So I'm going to let that cook down for a couple more minutes. I'm going to add the beans, some vegetable broth, a bay leaf, all that good stuff, and we're going to let it come to a boil. And then we're going to cook that for about 25 minutes, right? So I only do these shows for about 20 to 30 minutes, just trying to talk about the how to do the process of cooking. What I think is it's an experiential thing. The more you cook, the better you're going to be at it, right? So am I good at it? No. That's why I have other people. But I'm better than when I started, right? So, and I hope to get a little better over time and start learning like how to combine the flavors that I like without using oil. And sometimes that takes some time. So I'm going to let that cook down just a little bit more. Then I'm going to add the potatoes. Then we're going to probably bring that to a boil. So the next step here is we're going to add the potatoes. I'm going to add the potatoes. Once again, I did not take the skins off. I think that's healthier. Some people don't like it. Peel them. We're going to add the garbanzo beans. This may be a little bit more garbanzo beans than was in the original recipe. We're going to add, this calls for 3 cups of vegetable broth. Vegetable broth.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to put some paprika. It calls for a teaspoon. I'm going to just eyeball it, right? So I talk about the Rachel Ray. I could use a small spoon. Paprika. We're going to add us some black pepper. I'm going to add a little bit more spices that are not called for in the recipe. I'm going to add a little bit more.
Yep. In mine.
Huh?
Black pepper.
In yours? Yeah. Let's try to do it without burning ourselves.
Is it boiling?
Yours? I don't think so. It's simmering.
Okay.
So I'm going to add some black pepper into this other one.
Thank you.
Good enough?
Yep.
Good enough. So that's some black pepper. I'm going to put a tiny bit of white pepper. I'm going to put a tiny bit of mustard and a tiny bit of black sesame seed and a little tiny bit of black garlic also, just because I have some of it here. Tiny bit. Tiny bit. Tiny bit. Tiny bit. I'm going to put a little bit more paprika. I'm going to put some vegetable. I've got a bay leaf. Oh, she already cut it open. I'm going to put a couple bay leaves in there for flavor. Usually go in dry. Usually take those out before you were done. And I'm going to put a little bit more paprika as soon as I find it. Then I'm going to bring this to a boil. I'm going to put about, this is about 4 cups. We're going to put that enough to just kind of cover this. And we're going to turn the heat up. Let this come to a boil. Yours is going to come down a little bit, Gina, just so it doesn't boil over.
She's taking it out. Oh, you put it down?
Yeah, it's boiling pretty
This is the
good.
time you put the thickener in it.
Okay, you want me to
Yeah.
put this in?
Yeah.
So we're going to put this in. This is the traditional where they use egg, fried or boiled egg. I didn't see what happened. I think Gina boiled it. Her timer is going off. We're going to let that cook down a little bit to let it thicken for a little bit longer.
Off here because I want to get to the spot here. So now I'm going to cook it for another, let it simmer for
3 minutes.
5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
So they get to see what it looks like finished.
And then you'll hopefully be able to see what the traditional looks like when it is done. And then I've seen some people when they plate up this particular dish, they put a little bit of hard-boiled egg also on the side. Once again, when I'm cooking, I don't use egg in my cooking, but you can. So mine, I'm going to let it come to a boil. Then we're going to cook it for about 25 minutes. I'm not putting any thickener in it, so at that point, it's going to be done for me. So you simmer the soup for 25 minutes after you've let it come to a boil. So we're getting close to where we'll cut off here. Basically, I'm going to let you kind of look at what the stew looks like. I'm going to take this camera over there and I'm going to let you kind of look at what it looks like on the pot. And then if you're in the Facebook group, come join us on Facebook. Popping the Plant Flavor. That's where we're going to be uploading. This is the Popping the Plant Flavor YouTube, where we're trying to teach you how to cook. We're going to try to make this more interesting. I'm trying to get ideas. I also would encourage you to come join me. I would love to cook with you. Can you teach me a dish that maybe I can make hardcore vegan and it will still retain some of its traditional flavors? I'm trying to learn about spices, how spices combine, how they taste together. We chose a Spanish dish. They used paprika. Looks like mine has a lot more. I used more than a can of garbanzos. So mine is going to look a little bit different than Gina's. And so we'll have you take a look at those just as they're kind of cooking. Gina's is a traditional one that uses egg and bread to thicken up the stew. Mine is one that's going to be without. It's going to be just vegetables and plants and spices.
Is that none of them have meat.
And neither one have meat. So there's a little bit of egg in the traditional one. I think that in the traditional American diet, people get too much processed stuff. They also eat a little bit too much red meat. I think if you can abstain for that, have less of that, I think that your health will improve. I think that that is an important step. I think, in my opinion, vegan is the healthiest. A traditional Mediterranean or traditional Asian diet is a close second. So I would think that if you are having health problems and if you were trying to get better health, adding some movement to your life and adding some nutrition, this is how you're going to get healthier. And that is what I'm trying to do on this show, is maybe show you some ways that you can get some vegetables, some plants, We'll do some stuff with fruits and other things, seeds, nuts, all those things, mushrooms. They're all very healthy for you. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and put the timer on this one for about 20 minutes. We're going to go 20 minutes more. I'm going to plate this up, put it in the Facebook group so you can kind of see pictures of what it looked like after it was done. And then you decide for yourself whether this looks like something interesting that you would like to cook for yourself at home. We'll also maybe put a picture of our smiling faces eating it. Anyway, you guys have a great Saturday. Thanks for joining us. If you would like to join me and teach me how to cook, I would love it. Comment, connect with me, Facebook, YouTube, whatever works best for you. Comment on this video, and I would love to have you teach me how to cook something. I especially love if it's like a traditional culture's cuisine. So anyway,
have me look at mine a little bit. It's almost.
And Gina, say goodbye. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Done. Have a good day.